It's the Final Word Daily coming to you from the SCA Stadium in Rajkot. I'm Cameron Ponsonby. I'm joined by Sahil Malhotra from CricketNext. We are going to give you the kind of Indian vibe of the upcoming test, what's happened in the last week. Basically, it's a medical update because as far as I can tell, every single Indian player in the country is falling over or unavailable. We're going to start with the highest profile player, but probably the news that wasn't too unexpected. Sahil, first of all, welcome. Second of all, Virat Kohli out for the rest of the series, or expected to be.
Yeah, so Virat Kohli, the writing was pretty much on the wall because a lot of things are happening on the personal front for him. We wouldn't want to divulge much details about that, but the writing was pretty much on the wall because they were expecting that he'll at least miss out the next two tests and then come back for the Dharamshala test. But I think the chairman of selection committee, Ajit Agarkar, had a word with him before they had that virtual discussion when the team was announced, and they kind of decided that it's better to give him the space which is required right now because, see, it's a very important test series, but then there's a lot of cricket left to be played after this too because of the T20 World Cup. You have the IPL coming up. I'm not saying that the IPL is more important than this series. And if you would ask anyone, Virat Kohli leaving 5 tests, I think it wouldn't have happened before. Like, he hasn't missed a complete series before. He missed out some tests of the Border Gavaskar Trophy when he was travelling to Australia, and he came back for the birth of his first child. But this is not a usual situation for us here in India, not seeing Virat Kohli in the whites out on the field. But again, it's time that we allow him the privacy which he needs and allow him to be with his family. That is what he has requested the board.
That kind of maintains a status quo. Yeah. It was already a Kohli-less series. Yeah. Something that's new, though, and something I want to be cleared up, is Shreyas Iyer. The kind of press release came out, or there was rumours coming out that he'd pulled a hamstring, he had a bad back, he had XYZ injuries. Is he injured, or has he been dropped?
See, as per my information, he has been dropped primarily because the runs weren't just coming. 13 innings without a 50-plus score, I think that's a telling stat, and you can't afford that much luxury when you have people like Sarfaraz Khan and Rajkot kind of breathing down your neck, because they have been doing wonders in the first-class circuit, both of them averaging, scoring the runs they did for Madhya Pradesh and Mumbai respectively, then doing what they did for India A against the England Lions very recently. So I think both recency bias and the extended lean patch for Shreyas kind of went against him, and the writing was pretty much on the wall for him too, and it was the case with Shubman Gill too, but Shubman responded with a brilliant 100 at Vizag, and I think that is what is required from Shreyas Iyer. And in this lineup he was considered to be the better player of spin bowling. The pitches unfortunately haven't turned as much as he would have liked, but the runs haven't come, and the selectors kind of ran out of patience with him. There could be a niggle, but it wasn't that bad that he would miss the next 3 tests. So as per my knowledge and understanding, and a story I did for CricketNext very recently too, he has been dropped.
And so does this mean, as a kind of a fan of cricket from outside of India, Sarfaraz Khan, he's been an exciting player for a long time. He's one of those players where outside of the Indian sphere, you go, surely he gets to go. He averages about 7 million in first-class cricket. He was batting with Chris Gale in the IPL when he was about 3 years old. Is it his time? Is he going to be making his debut on that pitch behind us?
Pretty likely because, when you talk about runs, he has truckload of runs behind him. First-class cricket, we call him the Dada player when it comes to first-class cricket, because he can just score hundreds at will. He knows the art of scoring runs with the red ball, and I think that is something which has gone out of fashion right now. People don't understand that, you need to crack that art of scoring runs when it comes to the longest format. And Sarfaraz for Mumbai, I think he has been a gun player. There were reservations when it comes to his performances at the India A level, or probably not cracking the IPL yet. But with the red ball, you just can't look beyond him because there's no one ahead of him. The average, in the higher 70s, and the way he has been performing in the last 3 years, that has been phenomenal. And it was, it was always the case of when and not how, because for Sarfaraz, he was ticking all the right boxes. And now with Shreyas going out, KL Rahul not available for this test match, the doors are finally open. I wouldn't say open because he has kind of broken the door through with his runs, and now it's very likely that he'll be debuting in this test.
Something I've been trying to get my head round is there's been so many injuries to this Indian team. As a top 6, it is, at least, again, from an outsider's point of view, the most brittle of top 6 you could expect, or an inexperienced one. From your perspective, is the expectation on India still that they're favourites, that they should be finishing off this series kind of 3-2, 4-1? Or does it feel like, no, we are vulnerable with this 11 that we're currently putting out?
No, you've pretty rightly summed it up. It's a very brittle middle order, I would say, and just before the Shubman Gill 100, the only player who looked like scoring runs or probably was scoring runs was the least experienced of the lot. That was Yashasvi Jaiswal, and he has probably looked the most assured player in this 11 in the first two tests at least. And then there's Aksar doing his bit lower down the order. But having said that, Rohit hasn't been scoring runs. Shubman just is fresh from 100. Now you have Rajat Patidar playing his second game probably a day after tomorrow. Sarfaraz likely to make his debut. There could be another debutant in the name of Dhruv Jurel who could come in for KS Bharat. So I don't think there was. I don't recall the last time Indian kind of 11 wore such an inexperienced look when it came to batting, because we always knew that there's going to a transition taking place with the likes of Cheteshwar Pujara and Ajinkya Rahane. Selectors looking beyond them, looking at the younger players, but no one looked at a transition like this, right? Because you guys coming here covering a series, even you wouldn't have thought that there wouldn't be a Kohli, there wouldn't be a Pujara, there wouldn't be a Rahane. But such is life, such is cricket, and I think they are exciting players, no doubt about that. They're very exciting players. They have done this, for decades now. Rajat Patidar has been in the first class circuit for close to a decade now, doing his bit for Madhya Pradesh. Sarfaraz Khan again playing from a very young age, under 19 World Cup, the IPL, then for Mumbai. He went to UP briefly for the domestic circuit. So these are experienced players, and I think they couldn't have asked for a better opportunity to kind of taste Test cricket and taste baseball from close quarters.
So with the end of the last World Test Championship cycle, is that why there's been there hasn't seemed to be too much clamour to bring back Pujara, bring back Rahane in this group, even though there's been so many injuries and so many absentees? Is that basically the reason why? It's just a fresh cycle, they want to start again? Or is that wrong? Has there been some calls from certain quarters that this team needs experience, Pujara should be coming back in, Rahane should be coming back in?
No, not for Rahane, because he hasn't been scoring runs in the first class circuit. The 6th round of Ranji Trophy got over yesterday, and Ajinkya Rahane hasn't had the runs he would have liked. But with Pujara, he has been on song for Saurashtra, his local ground. He's the local favourite here. He has been scoring runs by the tons, and the voices are growing for his inclusion. But Rohit, you would have covered that presser. He kind of made it very clear that they want to try the younger players because they just don't want them to be wasting their crucial years on the bench. And with Pujara, it's not that he's a bad player or he hasn't done well for the Indian cricket team, but there seems to be a shift in ideology, I would say, because now they have a very free-flowing number 3 in Shubman Gill, someone who likes to take the game on, someone who likes to keep the flow intact. And with Pujara, it was always like that dead batting approach with his coach Rahul Dravid has kind of mastered over the years at number 3. So they're looking at a different approach in test matches, and I clearly remember covering that game in Indore, where Pujara scored a brilliant half century against Nathan Lyon when it was a minefield. The ball was doing everything. But I think Rohit and everyone liked Shreyas' approach more because they want someone to take the game head on. And that is the kind of approach you will see from this team going forward. But it's unfortunate. We all are big fans of Cheteshwar Pujara. Not many players. Only 13 have managed to play 100 test matches for India, and he's one of the 13. So it's unfortunate that he's missing, but I think the team has kind of look beyond them. Ajinkya, there was a SOS call for the WTC final. He did play against Australia. He did score a half century there. Looked very good, but I think his case was done and dusted after those failures in the West Indies Test series, and that is when they decided that Rajat Patidar, Sarfaraz Khan, they have not done anything wrong, and with KL Rahul coming back into the mix as a middle order batter, so there wasn't space for the two of them.
Pujara back for the 5th test. Heard it here first. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. So we've got some injuries missing out. We've got some to move on from the enforced changes. I know Shreyas Iyer is a bit of a he's been dropped, is he injured? But I'm interested in the wicketkeeper situation and also the balance to the 11. KS Bharat, he hasn't. I was trying to work this out if he's done badly. I don't know if he goes say he's done badly because he's had a lot of starts, but he's yet to score a half century. His 2 dismissals at Vizag were horrendous, really horrible. And there is that pressure of having the second wicketkeeper Jurel in the squad, even though whoever is keeping wicket is basically holding the court until Rishabh Pant comes back. Surely India basically wanted Bharat to be able to ride the wave and get through until Pant recovers from his injuries. Is that the case, or is there a chance that Jarrell comes in for this 11, this match?
The way I look at the wicketkeeper situation is because you don't have the luxury of a Virat Kohli and KL Rahul in the 11 right now. There's all the more reason that you want a wicketkeeper to be a substantial contributor with the bat. Gone are the days where you just need a neat keeper there and it's not a raging turner like the BGT which we saw last year. So keeping isn't that difficult, and Ben Foakes for England has been doing a brilliant job. So there's no reason why someone like a Jurel would struggle, because again, he's too a gun player, right? Because I kind of keep repeating that. I'm not repeating for the sake of it, but Dhruv Jurel has been doing really well and he has shown that he has got big match temperament. I'm not comparing formats, but IPL kind of gives you that indication whether the player is cut out for the big league or not, and Dhruv Jurel is, and he's fresh from 50s in the first class circuit for Uttar Pradesh, looked good, young, promising, very kind of fearless cricketer. I wouldn't say he like tonked the ball like Rishabh Pant does, but he certainly has that game too. So with KS Bharat, I think the management needs to kind of ask themselves the question whether they can afford to have him, especially with the middle order which we have right now, because you need a keeper who can bat too. You just can't afford to have a keeper who's just keeping for the sake of it and just standing holding one end up. You need a keeper to be a substantial contributor, and with Rishabh Pant we never kind of faced that problem, but the time he has been away from cricket due to his accident, and then the whole Ishan Kishan situation which has been kind of getting murkier by the day now, I would say. So there's no option but to have a keeper who actually scores runs, boss, because you don't have the luxury of playing 7-8 test matches and not going past 50. That doesn't happen in India. I haven't seen a keeper get that big, that long a rope. So it's kind of 50-50 call for me, but I would say go with Jurel primarily because your middle order kind of needs that cushion from the lower order too.
Okay, so let's go to the makeup of the 11. Jadeja might come back. I don't know if we've had it confirmed one way or the other yet. What are you expecting? What, not necessarily the changes you'd make, but what are the changes you'd expect India to make for this test match?
So Jadeja walks into the 11 if he's fit. There's no question about that, and this management isn't going to go with the one pacer approach, because from what I'm learning from the English camp, even they are kind of swaying towards fielding two seamers on this trip, because we have seen in the last test match the way Bumrah has been bowling and the kind of support he has required from the other end when it comes to the seam bowling department. So India could go with two seamers, and then leaves you with Akshar Patel, Ravindra Jadeja and Ravichandran Ashwin. Now the big call is not who goes out for Ravindra Jadeja, because Jadeja will play, but the point is what do you compromise when you bring in Jadeja, because he's someone who comes with both the abilities. So do you kind of put your X factor Kuldeep Yadav out, or do you persist with Akshar Patel because of what he brings with the bat? I'm just talking about bat. I'm not talking about Akshar Patel's bowling, because I feel it hasn't been to the mark which we saw probably the last time England came here for the test series. Then Akshar was a lone spinner because I think Jadeja was injured back then, and Akshar did what he did at Ahmedabad, 3 test matches ending inside 3 days. That was insane. So that Akshar hasn't been visible yet, and I've been saying this since the Border Gavaskar Trophy. He's being underbowled, and right now I think with Jadeja coming in, Akshar the batter is more needed than Akshar the bowler. So I feel Kuldeep could well be, on the receiving end of a raw deal here if kind of Ravindra Jadeja comes in, because you need to look at the balance of the whole side, because you need batting depth. That is for sure. You just can't afford to have 6 or 7 batters in this form, because they are youngsters. You need to give them some sort of cushion at least.
So does that mean if India persists with 2 seamers, presumably Mohammed Siraj comes straight back in?
Yeah, Siraj. So I met Siraj at the airport last evening. He kind of missed the optional training session in the morning. So he arrived in Rajkot around 7:30 in the evening. So he should be here today practicing with the boys. And Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj. Siraj was rested for the second game. Mukesh kind of came into the 11 then. But no surprises. Siraj should be here with Jasprit Bumrah. Then you have Kuldeep. The big call is between Kuldeep or Akshar. Who do you want to go with, and what do you want in your 11? So if he kind of, they need batting depth. That is for sure. You just can't, against this England side, you don't know how many runs are enough, right? So the more you get, the better it is, and I think they are going to sway towards that depth thing. And to be fair to the 3 spinners in the first test, yes, we kind of did badly with the bat, but I would say with the ball, I think those three spinners were fairly decent. So Akshar, Jadeja, Ashwin, we should restore normalcy like what we saw in the Hyderabad test. I feel so.
Poor Mukesh Kumar. Can't get a game. Also, Akashdeep called up. I felt a bit sorry for him when I saw he got called up, because I was like, you're just 100% not going to play.
Yeah.
And what's happened to Avesh Khan? More things that we can talk about for another day. Thank you very much, Sahil, for joining us. Me and Adam will be back tomorrow with the more traditional preview of the test. Until then, this was the Final Word Daily, brought to you as ever by London Westfield, London Stratford City. London Stratford City, Westfield Stratford City, Westfield London. Until tomorrow, goodbye.